In this video, I'm going to be rating, well, not rating, but because they're already rated, but I'm going to be explaining how good every Pokemon, well, with the Roblox that I have, that would be good in PvP, in my opinion. This is not a fad, this is just my opinion, so don't worry. So let's first start with Leafeon V. Now, Leafeon V is in last place just because of how RNG based it is, and and even though they do have 200 HP, their only attack that does damage is Leaf Blade, and it's purely based on RNG. It does 90 default damage, and if you get heads on your coin flip, it will do 60 more damage. And if I'm doing the math correctly, I think it would do 140, 150 damage. I think. Not bad, but still. And the ability Greening Cells is honestly one of the only abilities I have with all my Pokemon cards that end your turn if you use it. Because most abilities that you have with Pokemon, it does not end your turn, only attacks. An ability Greening Cells end your turn if you use it. And all it does just makes you search your deck for a grass energy and attach it to your Pokemon. That is literally just the same as attaching a regular energy from your hand. And there's even better Pokemon that have better attacks and even abilities that are similar to Greening Cells. Like Houndour. Houndour's attack coordinated pack lets you search your deck for a dark energy attached to every bench Houndour you have on your bench. Isn't a Pokemon, well, separate, but it's still a Pokemon that's just the same type. Basically just this same whole Pokemon. So, yeah, sure it is an ability and it's an attack, and it also is just similar to ability Greening Cells. It's still way better since, well, it does end your turn, but, well, yeah, this is just my opinion. I could be wrong with this, but in my opinion, Coordinated Pack is just way better than ability Greening Cells. Since attacks end your turn, yes, abilities don't end your turn, and that ability ends your turn. Like, I just don't like that. No, like, bro, it's an ability, it should not end your turn. So yeah, Leafeon V is in last place because of the ability and just how RNG based it is, but sure it is a basic, so you have to evolve it, and also retreat cost is not that bad, only being 1. But I just don't like it about RNG basedness, so it's in last place. And the one Pokemon that beat it is Mega Abomasnow EX, and you are probably wondering why it beat Leafeon V if it's kind of RNG based with its Hammerlanche, because you just have to hope you discard water energy. And that's because it does way more damage with it, if you're lucky enough. Because sure that is like 140 to 150 damage, but this is 100 damage for every single water energy you discard. So, depending on how lucky you are, you can do way more damage than just that thing, than Leaf Blade. And also, its Frost Barrier also is a very good attack too, only needing 3 water energy, does 200 damage. It also makes Mega Abomasnow EX take 30 less damage for just 1 turn. So yeah, that is very good. And also very tanky, having 350 HP and being a water type too. And it also, and even though it is an evolution Pokemon, making that you have to get Snover to use it, still, it is a pretty good Pokemon, and it's actually in, well, 8th place, but still, I have 9 Pokemon cards, by the way, that Roblox is. So let's just go to the next one. I also quickly forgot to mention how horrendous the retreat cost is with Mega Abomasnow EX being freaking 4. So you basically have to sacrifice almost literally every single attack a Mega Abomasnow has. But anyways, let's get to Mega Kangaskhan EX. Mega Kangaskhan EX beated Mega Abomasnow EX, even though it does have 50 less HP. The one thing I want to notice is that it's a normal type, meaning that it can be in almost every single deck, and it won't have to worry about it because all of its energy and need can be any. And it's also a Mega Evolution, also it's a basic, so you have to evolve it. And even though its retreat cost is kind of horrendous since it's 3, making you literally use all the energy it needs for its only attack or fire combo, what I want you to notice is the ability it has called Run Errand. Basically, once during your turn, you can, well, if this Pokemon is at the spot, you can draw 2 cards from your deck. Now, sure, you can only use it once per turn. That is still very good, since it's basically just the equivalent of freaking the Gym Trainer support card, just probably not better, but in my opinion it's better since you don't think the Pokemon to get knocked out for it to be better. Well, yeah. And also, the ability doesn't end your turn either, which is much more better than that thing right there. Anyways, Mega Kangaskhan EX was also one of the first Mega Evolution EX Pokemon I got, but anyways, kind of it. There's really nothing else to it. And the only main reason I think it would be good is even though it is kind of RNG based where you have to just hope you get heads, most of the time you do rapid fire combos, default damage is 200, isn't bad. While Leafeon's is only freaking 90. But anyways, there's still Pokemon that also beat this. And that is Mega Cleafable EX, I think that's pronounced the name. And even though it is an evolution Pokemon, with you needing to have Sleep Fairy this time to use it, it has 320 HP, which is pretty good, and it's also a Psychic, so it has resistance. Well, I thought it did, I guess I just dreamed or something. But anyways, what I want you to know is its ability Luminous Wing. This prevents all effects of your opponent's Pokemon's abilities done to this Pokemon. So basically, any ability that affects any Pokemon does not work on this Pokemon. It just doesn't. And even though its ability Shooting Moons only does 120 default damage, it's not really that RNG based since it's from your hand, not your deck. So you don't just gotta hope the Pokemon gods give you freaking energy to discard on top of your deck. You can use it from your hand. And you don't have to discard 4. It doesn't force you may, meaning you can discard as many as you want. And every energy card discarded with, well, the ability, it does 40 more damage, and that isn't bad. And, well, that's kind of it. I only also think it's also good because mainly because of its ability and its low energy cost, meaning only 2 psychic energy to use its attack. Ability is also pretty good, and also it only has a retreat cost of 1, so there's not really any consequences of retreating it. Because even though it's very tanky, it only has a retreat cost of 1, which I guess kind of makes sense. At least it isn't freaking like over like 3. Anyways, there's still also a Pokemon that still beat a Mega Cleafable EX, and that is my Shaman V. And even though it isn't really tanky, I only have 190 HP, with it literally having the least amount of HP out of all my Pokemon with a freaking Volbox, it still pays up for it, with its retreat cost only being 1, it being a basic, so I don't have to freaking evolve the dang thing, and also because its attack's being at least decent. Its flap attack only needs 1 grass energy, does freaking 30 damage, which is not bad, and its Revenge Blast attack does 60 default damage, which is kind of decent. And for every price card your opponent has taken, does 40 more damage. It only needs 1 grass type energy and any type of energy for it to be used. Which cost is only 1, so you don't have to attach as much energy after you retreat it. I guess what pays up for it not being so freaking tanky, not being able to take as much hits. And, well, that's kind of it. Anyways, there's still a Pokemon that beat this, well, Shaman V, and that is my Zeraora V. Now, Zeraora V has a little bit more HP than Shaman V, having 210, and it being also electric. And it's also a basic just like Shaman V, so you have to evolve it. And it also only has a retreat cost of 1. And even though it does need more energy, its basic attack, which is Claw Slash, which is actually does 50 damage, so it's kind of worth it. With its Thunderous Bolt being the main thing you probably see, doing 190 damage. But if you look at the text at the bottom, it makes it vulnerable for 1 turn. And even though it needs 3 energy for it to be used, I still think it's a pretty good attack, even though it makes it vulnerable. For sure, you have to use more wisely and more thoughtfully. It's still a good attack. Now, I used to main Zeraora V's deck, then I kind of switched to Deoxys V and Houndoom EX, but when I used this deck of Zeraora V, it was so good once I started using it to use it. So, yeah. Though I do kind of think Deoxys V is better, which is the Pokemon to beat it. Deoxys V is one of the top 3 cards with the World Box that I have, and even though its retreat cost is freaking 2, making you sacrifice a Power Edge, which does 140 damage, it needs 2 energy to use the default attack, which is Psychic. It does 30 default damage, which is honestly not that good for Pokemon V. But the only reason I didn't say for Shan because it doesn't need 2. But that is because it has an effect with it. So basically it does 30 more damage for every energy attached to the Pokemon. And this is a good counter for Pokemon that need energy to deal more damage, like Melmetal X with its Full Metal Knuckle attack, which is more damage for energy. So this is a great counter because the more energy they use to do more damage, the more damage they'll also take. So that's very good, and even though it does have the same HP as Zeraora V, 210 if you can't read it, its Power Edge is honestly way more rewarding in my opinion for Thunderous Bolt. Since it does like less damage, doing 140, it at least does not make a Deoxys V vulnerable for 1 turn when you use it. And even though it does need the same amount of energy as Thunderous Bolt, Zeraora V, it has resistance. And it's almost one of the only Pokemon, excluding Melody EX, that has resistance that I have a Roblox with. So yeah. Anyways, Deoxys V is my top 3, but there is still my top 2nd. And that is my Metal EX, and that is because even though it needs a lot of friggin' energy and has a horrendous retreat cost, it still is very tanky. You might be wondering, why is this better than Mega Abomasnow EX if it's basically just the same with the retreat cost? Well, that's because Abomasnow EX does not have the ability to help it gain energy. Metal EX's Metal Bullseye's ability lets it gain energy from the deck, and sure, it ends your turn, but at least lets him gain 2 energy. And also, its full Metal ability has a default damage of 90, and for every steel energy attached to this Pokemon, it does 30 more damage. And if you include the freaking energy attached to it, it's 210 damage, I think, if I did the math correctly. And it's also one of the many Pokemon that, well, not many, but one of the literally only Pokemon as well that has resistance with the Robots, with obtaining 3 less grass damage, and its horrendous retreat also being freaking 4. At least it's worth it, because if you just keep attaching energy to do more damage, if you attach just like 8, if you retreat, it'll be fine. You'll still be able to use this full Metal Knuckle attack. Even if it doesn't have any metal attached, steel energy, it still does 90 default damage. It's not that bad. And it's also pretty tanky, having 300 HP, though it is an evolution Pokemon, which you have to get Melton to use Metal EX. It is still very rewarding since you get a very tanky Pokemon. It does a lot of damage in return as well. So yeah, and also it has resistance. Anyways, but this is not my top first Pokemon, which is my Houndoom EX. Now, the reason why I chose this is not just because it was my first EX Pokemon I gotten, but it is because it is very good to know how to use it. Because it has 270 HP, which is not that bad, and even though it's an level Pokemon, which you need to have Houndour to evolve it, and she costs saving 2, making you sacrifice your freaking Houndsfang. Its Evil Claw attack does 90 damage, and also disables a basic Pokemon from attacking if it's the defending Pokemon. It only needs 2 Dark Energy, which is not that bad, and its Houndfang does 220 damage, and it just deals 30 damage to Houndoom EX. And it just needs 3 Dark Energy. And if you don't know, along with this deck comes with Morpeko. So yeah. Now I cannot really keep talking, so I'm just going to quickly explain. The reason why I like this Pokemon is because its Houndfang only does 30 damage, just 220 damage in return. Evil Claw, obviously, I literally just explained. Disables base Pokemon from attacking their defense, does 90 damage, and has 270 HP in its Dark. Anyways, to the outro. Quick outro, make sure to like and subscribe if you like the video, and also please, because this might cut off like any freaking second.